Hi, Angus from Stod Fold. We've just been thinking about how to bring you the perfect pint of northern ale, bitter beer, and how to bring it to you at home under COVID conditions. So we're outdoors. It was nice. It's gone off a bit, so we've got some beer in the van here, keeping it out of direct sunlight. Try and do that at home if you can. If you can't, just drink it a bit faster. That would be my advice. So let's have a little look about how we're trying to solve that little problem. Okay. So, why do I say northern? Why do I say northern bitter? Because we're just accustomed in the north to essentially having a head of fine bubbles on the top of our beer. In bits of the south, they are less accustomed to that. In fact, they're accustomed more to flatter beers. Now, pros, cons, you could argue it either way, and people have done for generations. But realistically, it comes down to a flatter beer allows the sort of the jagged edges of the hop profile to come through. So it's kind of like no filter, but on a beer with a head of fine bubbles on, it sort of knocks the edges off that. It sort of smooths that profile out. So it means you get a smoother product, and for me, that's a better finished product. So, what's it all about? There's a bit of science. I don't want to bore you to death with it, but within all beer, there is gas dissolved into the solution, so it's held in there, and it's about liberating that from the solution. And you've all done it. Every time you've opened a tin, it allows the gas to escape. Now, that's one way of doing it. In the pub, it's a different way of doing it because you've got a cask situation. So a cask, that's a pressurised vessel, biggish one. It's a transport vessel. Beer's transported to the pub in that with yeast in it. So it's generating pressure within it. And it's laid down in the pub, and they knock a hole in it, let the gas out. The yeast settles to the bottom, which allows you to have a clear drink, which people find important. So we need to draw that fluid out and release more CO2 from it by accelerating it with what force we've got to hand. So that's the force of hand. So we need a machine, a hand pump or a beer engine is what they call it in trade. And I've got one here. And the reason they call it an engine is because it accelerates the force, amplifies the force you can physically put in. So you'll recognise this. Essentially, you give this thing a shove here, and there's a pivot, and it accelerates the amount of force you're playing there. Accelerates it through this pipe, accelerates it further, potentially through this sparkler here. The design also is it's nicely done in that it allows you to dispense at whatever point in the glass you would like to. So you're getting physical feedback from the pump, leaning on it, it's resisting, you can feel how that's going, it feeds back to you. You're getting visual feedback from what's going on in the glass, and you can react to that with the point at which you dispense the liquid. So do you want to put it to the bottom? Do you want to draw it out halfway through? It's a bit of an art to it. It means you can react to the type of beer, the ambient conditions, the temperature, your preference, etc., etc. So you've got those two things: the physical input and the feedback and the amplification of that input, and then the point at which you dispense that in the glass, which again, you've got two hands, you can vary both at the similar time. And it really works. And it means you can, even with varying conditions, you can still get the perfect pint. If you're not bad at it, you haven't got a pub, you haven't got a pump. We know that. What have you got? You've got one of these. We hope we've got a Stod Fold bag in box. We hope you've told us who your local is and you're supporting the Phoenix project. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, have a look online. You've probably got this bag in box. So we're looking at it thinking, right, okay, well, it's a great product. Comes out and you look at it. Okay, you've all had this and you've all enjoyed it, and we've had nothing but positive feedback, and that is fantastic. We're seeking perfection. We're looking for ways of really bringing that authentic pub experience home to you. So could it be improved? Well, then maybe it could. So how do you go about that? Well, you could look at ways of sort of squeezing the box, and that's what we looked at. But we give ourselves some criteria about this. If it's got to be at home, it's got to be cheap, it's got to be simple, and it's got to be convenient. Most important of all, probably, like, can you live with it? Some sort of complex device, it's just not tenable. So can we squeeze the box? Yes, of course. We need to put it in a cage. We need to put some sort of compression around it. We need to force it through some, is that cheap? No. Simple? No. Convenient? No. So that's dead in the water. Could we therefore, draw the fluid out, pull it? Well, yeah, that's what you do in the pub. So you need a beer engine. You could get one, but is it cheap? No. Is it convenient? No. Is it simple? It's the opposite of all those things, to be honest, because there's all sorts of costs in it, and cleaning them are a pain, and all the rest of it. And just living with one, you wouldn't necessarily want that in your kitchen, etc., etc. So what are we doing? We're looking for something that you can use at home, that ticks all those boxes, and that leads us to looking at, right, well, what materials might you have at home that we can adapt? So we're looking for a vessel that you could use to generate sufficient pressure to get the right acceleration, and it's all the sciencey stuff, but it's what makes a difference. And you've probably got what you need to a certain extent. So you've got one of these, I would think, and let's recycle one. Now, you probably haven't got one of these, but that's what we're looking to resolve. Because when we put these two things together, that allows us to get the functionality that essentially we have with all the rest of this gubbins. So allow me to kind of quickly demonstrate that. So essentially, we've got what's an oversized bottle here, and that allows a couple of things. It means that we're going to use this as an intermediate bottle, and when we come to expel the liquid from it, because we've not filled it, we don't need to. Oh, he says we don't need to fill it. It's gone a bit nuts. We don't need to squeeze it all the way down to nothing. If you had a vessel that was just a pint big, you'd have to crush it down to nothing to get a pint out. This is the complete opposite of that. So I've just marked this off. There's probably a pint and a half in there. I've got a pint and a half glasses here. I might do another one on the sort of intricacies of dispense and the tricks and stuff, but realistically, that's down to the user, because you're just going to learn how to use it depending on the conditions and the product and all the rest of it. So I'll bring this up so it's a bit easier to see. But essentially, it just means I can, with one hand, and I'll probably just back off there and pop it down. And I went a bit nuts, so now, I mean, under COVID, can we make these little adapters in large quantities? No, but what we can do is make quite a lot, probably, we think, just in isolation at home, at our homes around the place, and get them out to you guys. So that's what we're hoping to do. We're so excited about getting these into the general circulation and getting you using them and getting your feedback. And then hopefully post-COVID we'll get some tooling and we'll make sure there's one in every drawer at home and all the rest of it. And we'll get used to the new sort of normal. So we're bringing the pub home to you. We're seeking ways of just making that really, really, really authentic, if you like. we're looking forward to the pub reopening, but until it does, we're on a mission to bring the pub home to you, to try and help the pubs reopen, and to keep everybody safe and without a reason to go out. So keep talking to us. We're trying to work hard and get everything done for you guys. Take care of yourselves. See you on the other side. Cheers.